Hey guys, Kalltorak here, and today we're going to be talking about Thorns and the next Path of Exile 2 patch. In case you missed it, we had the announcement of the last of the Druids, patch 0.4. The reveal stream will be December 4th, and then we'll be able to play December 12th. There will be a free weekend there, so if you just happen to be checking this video, and you haven't played Path of Exile 2, you're interested in Thorns, well, there is a free-to-play weekend, and you could hopefully follow along with one of my guys while you're trying out the game. But yeah, I just want to talk about Thorns right now and just what I'm thinking about it going into the patch. I'm very torn right now on whether I will be league starting Thorns. Now, it's apparent that Druid's coming, and a lot of people are very hyped about Druid Thorns, specifically like a bear Druid with Thorns. Just seems like, you know, it'll merge well together. You have the Thorns archetype that just makes sense with Druids. You have Brambles, you have like Roses with Thorns. Like Druids are very nature-based. You also have like shapeshifts like a Porcupine that could work with Thorns. So there's a lot of potential with Thorns and Druid. So it makes sense a lot of people are excited for it. I am more than likely going to be league starting Thorns Druid, just because the community will want me to. Speaking of the community, we do have a Thorns Discord. It'll be a link down below, so if you want to join the Thorns Discord, we are active in there. We talk about Thorns all the time, and other builds as well, but you know, just come hang out in the Thorns Discord if you're excited about Thorns going into 0.4. But yeah, I just want to ramble about Thorns going into this patch. It's more than likely that I'll be league starting Thorns just because of the community wanting me to do it and the excitement around Druid with Thorns, but I would not be league starting Thorns as of right now if it were purely based off like my choice and what I want. There is still a lot of friction with Thorns. It is not a good build in my opinion. It is like would say at best it is a B-, a C+ tier build. It is very good at clearing the campaign once you get it online. It is very good into like even like you know, some red maps for a while. You can push all tier 3 content, but when it comes to doing juice content, this is the hardest difficulty stuff. There's a lot of friction with Thorns, just either with survivability or just, you know, boss patterns not interacting well with Thorns. So it isn't the best build. You really have to enjoy the archetype, which I obviously do, and a lot of the community does as well. But yeah, I just wanted to use this video to talk about all the potential things that I would want to see changed going into patch 0.4 that would make me way more excited to be league starting as Thorns. Because right now, it's just, yeah, there was just a lot of friction points in 0.3 that I got to see. You know, it was my first time league starting Thorns was in patch 0.3 last patch. I know people know me as a Thorns guy, but because I've played Thorns every patch, but last patch was the first time I ever league started it, and there was a lot of problems with it from both my perspective as well as the community's perspective. So hopefully some of those things start getting changed over time, and I'm just going to start listing some of the positives and negatives here, and the things that I would be looking to see changed, hopefully, as we dive into playing this in the next patch with Druid, because we're getting the big endgame overhaul. It's not just Druid that's coming. There might be other stuff coming as well. I assume it's just going to be Druid. People are guessing that like daggers or swords or something else might be dropping. I don't think so. I think we're only getting Druid, and we're going to be getting a bunch of endgame updates. And with that endgame update, you know, I just mentioned that like the deep endgame Thorns kind of struggles with. So I really want some quality of life and some changes here. Because I am kind of nervous about, like, let's say we get Delve and we're pushing Delve depths like 500 to 1,000. Like, I don't know if Thorns is going to be able to do that, because one of the biggest weaknesses of Thorns is getting super tanky, which we'll be talking about soon. But overall, Thorns is in quite a good spot. Once it's online, it gets online if you're playing League Start around Act 3. That is because of the support gems, Barbs, and Quill Burst. They are tier 3 support gems, and you're really not playing Thorns until you have Barbs and Quill Burst. It is one of the more enjoyable leveling builds out there. It can handle a majority of content on its surface level. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning, Thorns starts falling apart in a deep uber endgame and is very trade dependent. Certain boss patterns will always be difficult for Thorns to deal with, just because they will not trigger Thorns very often, or their attacks that do trigger Thorns will one-shot you. Survivability in the endgame rework is a deep concern of mine. The good things about Thorns is, weirdly, it is a good way to learn the game in its defensive way, throughout defensive layers and how to interact with combat. It's a style where you have to take damage to deal damage, so you're having to actually, you know, engage with these enemies that you wouldn't normally have to engage with them, like an arranged build or, you know, something that's clearing things from multiple screens away, right? You actually have to learn the patterns, and that can be very fun. It can be challenging, it can be difficult at times. You're going to die a lot in the process. Not a hardcore friendly build, but it is a very good way to learn the game, and it is very fun to do it. despite us not being as tanky as I would like to be. You know, life being one of our major defensive layers right now, you can't scale that very high. Got a little bit better this patch with the armor scaling, but yeah, despite the fact the defenses are weak, it's a good way to learn the game. If you're not afraid of dying to, you know, in content, which it's okay to do. The experience loss in deep late game really sucks for that, but otherwise, you know, yeah, it's a fun playstyle. And baseline, it is very easy to get into Thorns. Once you get the async trade online, Thorns gear is relatively cheap. The more expensive pieces, like if you're talking about the uniques with 3 sockets and stuff, those get expensive. But when you start talking about like just getting Thorns online, like say you wanted to play at level 16 when you get Crown of the Pale King, and you traded for the support gems or you had from another character, you can immediately start playing Thorns from level 16 and spend like 5 exalts and get through the campaign. Thorns gear scales very well. It scales a lot off the campaign through the support gem, spirit gem scavenge plating, so it is a very chill build once it's online and very cheap initially. Of course, any build that you want to min-max, especially off-meta builds, they get more expensive when you min-max them. But just as a baseline, you want to just enjoy the game casually. Thorns is amazing for that, and it's very fun playstyle. I mean, who doesn't like you know, one-shotting bosses standing there every once in a while? It's super fun. But there are loads of problems with Thorns, so let's talk about the main things I want to see changed going into this patch. Now, let's just say there are no positive changes. Every single patch, by the way, from 0.1, when we all came over to PoE 2, we were shocked that we even had Thorns support at all. Thorns has been a dead stat in PoE 1 always, and you know, it was exciting that we had any Thorns ability in PoE 2 at all, but it was very bad in 0.1. My Thorns builds were only on a Witch Hunter and a Warbringer, and the Witch Hunter was slightly better because of the AoE clear, but it was like not a good late game build at all. You really couldn't do much with it. In 0.2, we got the addition of the support gems, Barbs, Quill Burst, and a whole array of Thorns buffs. This really is what brought Thorns online. It was like 10 times of a level up. And then the same thing happened in 0.3 with the changes to the support gems, with being able to stack the Spirit Gem Thorn skin. That was like another 10 times level up for Thorns. So I don't predict another 10 times level up, but every single patch we have gotten changes for Thorns. So I am expecting some changes, but I do want to say that if we didn't get sweeping changes like we did the last 3 patches for Thorns, and we only got some minor tweaks, I would not be surprised. But these are just the changes again. Sorry, this is going to be a very rambly video. These are the changes I am looking forward to. If like these would make me way more excited to play Thorns in the next patch, just straight up. And the first thing is Crown of the Pale King. Crown of the Pale King has been the biggest complaint point for Thorns players since 0.1. Now, Crown of the Pale King is awesome. It is what enables Thorns to work. It is what makes your Thorns work on all attacks instead of just melee attacks. And with it's only on melee attacks, we've tried melee-only Thorns builds. They don't work. They're not. Yeah, they're bad. So with Crown of the Pale King, it is required. Now, this is awesome. You want build-defining uniques like that. But here's the problems. One, it is a level 16 unique, where the only value we get out of it, really, is the effect of the helmet, which is the percent increase, or which is the Thorns damage reflects at everybody. This does not scale that great in the endgame. When you're looking to corrupt it, when you're looking to get a, you know, the exceptional unique version of it, you really either only want 3 sockets or you want 2 sockets with a 30 spirit enchant. But otherwise, you don't really care about corrupting it, you don't really care about farming it, there's like no value to it, and it doesn't really scale, it has no scaling into endgame. So you're forced to use a level 16 helmet the entire time, and there's just no endgame upgrade for it. Now, they added a new support gem, where a unique gem where you can get 4 of them, and they each have a 25% chance of Crown of the Pale King effect triggering, based off the passives you put points into, but there's no calculator for that gem right now, or jewel right now, and it's very inconsistent, so we're really not able to use that to replace Crown of the Pale King. Crown of the Pale King is required, and helmet slots are just the best slots in the game right now, in my opinion. You get so many really good unique helmets, and being limited to Crown of the Pale King is just really bad. And then, of course, helmets are also just great for defensives. I talk about how Thorns really struggles to survive. Well, that's because we're so unique heavy. You know, we're forced to use 2 uniques, and oftentimes you're using 3 to 4 uniques. Rares are just how you get super tanky right now, and not being able to use a rare helmet or, you know, many of the other unique helmets out there is just a big L for the playstyle. It is the number one complaint and pain point I see from new players to Thorns. They just want to play Thorns. They just want to play Thorns, and trade is a pain on league start. It is just it's pain. There's no other way to put it. You do not unlock it until Act 4, and you want to start playing Thorns ideally at the start of Act 2, because that's when you get Crown of the Pale King, right? Crown of the Pale King is a level 16 helmet. That's when you want to start playing it, right? But you can't trade well until Act 4, and having to deal with the Whisper trade on League launch was really rough. The first 48 hours just was like people non-stop complaining in my comments and in my live stream chat that I can't get a crown. Like, the only ones that are being sold right now are going for like 10 to 20 exalts, because, you know, people who knew how to like snipe pricings that were listed low would buy them and then relist them high. It was just a real big pain point, and until people got async trade, they weren't able to play Thorns. Was like the general feeling I was getting from people. Or it was just a few days later once, you know, people stopped price scalping the Thorns helmets, and, you know, you're able to get them for cheap. So that was just the biggest pain point. And the number one thing I see people say is that Crown of the Pale King needs to, its effect needs to be moved someplace else. I've seen, and I've talked about as well in my previous version of this video, two routes. Either a keystone or a spirit gem. Right now, we are already stacking Spirit and Spirit Gems for Thorn Skin. Thorn Skin stacking is one of the best ways to increase our damage. So if we ended up getting a Spirit Gem that gave us Crown of the Pale King's effect, that is fine, because we're already wanting to stack Spirit for this build. And then, of course, a Keystone is just what everyone talks about, you know, it just being somewhere on, like, you know, maybe the warrior side of the tree where you can get Crown of Pale King's effect easier. Now, obviously, that makes the other side of the tree not able to play it. That's why I prefer the Spirit Gem option. If it's a Spirit Gem, any class can play Thorns whenever they get that Spirit Gem. That's the biggest thing for me, honestly, is, like, Crown of the Pale King is, like, I understand that some builds just get enabled by uniques, right? Period. It's just, because Thorns is a playstyle where you have to take damage to deal damage, being forced into using a level 16 unique the entire experience, when it really has no other value to your kit, is just bad. It just feels really bad. Crown of the Pale King is just the biggest pain point, period. We either need a way that we have like an alternate version that's like higher skill than endgame, or we just need other ways to get its effect. Like, I'm fine with it being like the way you get Thorns online at level 16, you have to use that helmet, but in endgame, like if I'm wanting to push Delve or the new endgame reworked stuff, like, Crown has to go. It really has to go, because really the only reason you want it is for the effect, and then you're going to want to get 3 sockets or 2 sockets with a Spirit enchant. So, yeah, Crown of the Pale King, it's easily been the biggest pain point for Thorns players all patches. So, sorry to ramble about that one again, but we're going to keep talking about it until we get some quality of life there, I guess. Let's talk about support gems. I talked about it earlier, but we get Crown of the Pale King at level 16. That's when everyone wants to start playing Thorns, is the start of Act 2. However, all of the Thorn support gems that matter, Barbs and Quillburst, specifically for leveling, they're tier 3 support gems. That requires you to get to Act 3, which happens around level 32. That's 16 levels after you get the helmet. So, on League start, even if you somehow got your Thorns gear early on, which Briar Patch is level 11, I mean, you can really start playing Thorns at level 16 when you have Crown of the Pale King. Most players are not playing it until they get to Act 3. So, at minimum, I want to see Barbs move to a tier 2 support gem. Barbs 1 should be a tier 2 support gem. That way you at least have some single target damage, but Thorns is like a pain without Quillburst. I honestly think both Barbs and Burst should be tier 2 support gems, but one of them has to be just for the fluidity of the build. It's really weird that we get Barbs Crown and Briar Patch at level 16 and 11, but we don't get the support gems to really utilize Thorns until Act 3, which is level 30. That gap is just very unintuitive to the new player. It's very confusing to them. The other confusing things about Thorns is the support gems in general are counterintuitive. You don't see the stacks of Burst at all, and in general, why doesn't Burst hit the target you're attacking? If you that don't know, Quill Burst, when you hit a target, you explode Thorns damage around that target, but it doesn't deal damage to the target you hit. That confuses so many of my viewers or new players to Thorns. Like, they're just like, why is my burst not doing damage? Well, it's because it doesn't do damage to the target you're hitting. So some people will take burst first, thinking, oh, hey, I get some nice AoE and a little bit of damage, and then I'll get barb second. And burst just doesn't work that way. And I don't understand why it needed to work that way. Why can't they both do a little bit of single target damage, but Quill Burst, you know, has like only 1 or 2 charges. So yeah, I would love to see a burst changed. And then I've talked about this before in the past, but having a way to put support gems into Thorns would be nice. We're really limited in the ways we can scale our damage. Right now we're basically forced to spirit stack and then stack spirit gems with Thorn skins. Thorn skins gives us a % increased damage percent to Thorns. And it's just, yeah, it's by far the best way to get Thorns damage. I've gotten over 100,000 Thorns damage by just giga stacking Spirit on a Tactician. And that's really the most viable way to play. I'm fine if that's the route we have to go, where Spirit Thorns is just the most viable way to scale its damage. But if we want to open up other playstyles, Thorns needs support gems. Support gems are one of the best ways to scale the damage in the game right now. I mean, imagine if you can put lineage support gems into Thorns. That would be amazing, especially if you're doing elemental Thorns. You could put Rakiata's Flow and stuff into it. So it might be too broken if you were able to put Thorns in, but I'm picturing a world where you have, like, the new Crown of the Pale King gives you the ability to put support gems into a Thorn skill, and it will scale your Thorns damage, where that you put bleed, hit chance, and other stuff into it, because that would be one of the best ways we could fix scaling Thorns damage. Is just, we really can't, like, you can put support gems into barbs because through a weird way, and that's really the only way you can utilize support gems right now for Thorns, and yeah, that would be a big level up for Thorns. Okay, let's talk about skills. So right now, we have the Crackling Barrier, which gives you Thorns damage when you're channeling a skill. Right now, all the channel skills suck. And the channel skills that, we need more channel skills that have strike tags on them specifically. Right now, we can only put Crackling Barrier into really awkward skills that you can't put barbs into. Barbs has to be in a strike skill. It would be really nice if, like, Cyclone was a strike and a channel. That way you could put Crackling Barrier and barbs into it. But right now, Crackling Barrier is just absolutely awful. There is, like, no reason you should play a Crackling Barrier build, period. Same goes for Mana Stacking Thorns. I know this is going to make some people sad to hear. Mana Stacking Thorns is awful. Defensively, you can't get defensive enough for it. It's just, no matter how much mana stacking you do, you're still going to be pretty risky to one-shots. You can get pretty tanky, but you're still going to be one-shot prone. The problem is, no matter how high you get your mana, you're not going to be getting near enough damage to keep up with the normal Thorns playstyles. Just the damage is, like, not even comparable. Mana Stacking Thorns needs a lot more love for it to be viable. Period. It's just Mana Stacking Thorns, like, to me, like, there's no reason why you should league start mana without serious buffs coming to this playstyle. There's no reason you should play Mana Stacking Thorns in 0-4. Period. It's just, it's not good. One of the things that would help the most with that is Mana Leech for Thorns. That would be an amazing addition there. If we want a way to be able to sustain a mana stacking style. Right now we have Life Leech for Thorns, but we have no way to Mana Leech for Thorns really easily. So anytime you want to force one of these setups, it requires a lot of, like, gear and stuff, and that just ruins your defensives or your damage. It's rough. Like, again, Thorns, as fun and as strong as it is really just bones still. It really feels like bones. And then lastly, until we have a way to consistently force activate Thorns, this build will always be kind of meme tier. I don't know if GGG needs to implement a Thorns specific skill that has, like, a cooldown on it. That's just like, you do this lunge forward that, like, on a 5-second cooldown or something that, like, does your Thorns damage. It's like a way to force activate Thorns. We need something like that because there are just too many bosses in this game that have attack patterns that don't trigger Thorns, or when they do have attack patterns that do trigger Thorns, they will kill you. You know, Jet is one of the best examples of that. His attack patterns are very slow, He doesn't do big multi-strikes in a row, and a lot of his attacks are one-shot tier. And again, because we're using Crown of the Pale King, Briar Patch, you know, you might be using Chernobog, you know, you might be using a unique belt. Like, who knows what uniques you like? You have a unique spear, maybe unique amulet. Like, there's so many uniques that you can pair with Thorns, and sometimes you'll force to pair with Thorns that it's so difficult to get like god tier tanky with Thorns. So we just need that fix. And yeah, going into gearing, just the itemization is just the worst. Like, I guess that's just the best way to transition to that. We have 2 uniques right now that are required in endgame. Crown of the Pale King and Briar Patch. Level 16 and level 8 uniques. And they are required. Briar Patch, there's nothing comparable for what your damage. You're going crit Thorns no matter what. Like, you're just going crit Thorns no matter what. If you're not going crit Thorns, your damage is so much worse. Like, I've tried Trample Toe Thorns, I've tried the other Thorns boots, like, I've tried so many styles, and you have to go Briar Patch, because you're so easily able to get 100% crit chance on Thorns with, like, 300 to 500% crit damage bonus. And the thing is, you can very easily get that, versus, like, anything else, like, you're having to invest, like, if you're going Trample Toe, you're sacrificing all that damage just for a little bit of AoE, and yeah, you're just forced to use those, and there's so many good uniques that would just, like, help Thorns out. Like, we have Sacrosanctum. If you want to do Energy Shield Recoup, well, first of all, we get Thorns damage on your chest. So by taking Sacrosanctum, you're giving up Thorns damage. We also get Thorns scaling from your armor on your chest. Sacrosanctum doesn't have, like, you're not getting any Thorns scaling from that. So your chest slot, now, with Crown of the Pale King and Briar Patch. Now you have your gloves for Energy Shield. Now, if you wanted to run a shield, you could, but you would want to run Chernobog or something like that, which would have no Energy Shield. You could try and get a belt, but that won't really help your, like, you're going to get Energy Shield on your amulet and your gloves. Like, Sacrosanctum scaling, your Energy Shield is so limited because we're forced to wear Crown of the Pale King and Briar Patch. If we could get rid of Crown of the Pale King and had a good Energy Shield helmet, well, now Sacrosanctum's seeming more appealing. Well, what about Ice Tomb for mana stacking Thorns? Like, what about Painter's Gloves for Trinity Thorns? What about Couture of Crimson for Overleech? Like, there's so many good items that once you slot them in, they'll feel great initially, but when we get to uber late game, they just don't have the scaling to keep up with, like, just the hard-hitting one-shots. And again, it's a playstyle where you have to take damage to deal damage. If it was a different playstyle, this would be fine. But our entire playstyle revolves around us being able to take the hit, and us having to stack so many uniques, it just cripples the build. If we were doing Sacrosanctum Thorns, Sacrosanctum is the Energy Shield Recoup chest, and we didn't have to run Briar Patch or Crown with that, we're in a completely different realm. Like, this is, like, Thorns, like, if I could run Sacrosanctum with Thorns, and didn't have to run Crown of the Pale King, maybe we just still run Briar Patch, right? Let's just say we drop Crown of the Pale King, if I could run Sacrosanctum Thorns with Briar Patch, we're in a completely different world. But, like, I'm so much more confident going into this patch, but just right now, we just feel Thorns lacks a lot of flexibility in build making right now. I tried a lot of different styles this patch, and there are really only 1 to 2 ways you should play Thorns. There are a lot of other styles of Thorns that can get you to red maps, but when we're talking about real endgame viability, there's really only 1 or 2 styles, and they're C-tier builds. They're C-tier builds. And lastly, yeah, more Thorns will help. More Thorns will help. So yeah, this video is a little bit rambly. I do have a lot of videos coming out over the next few weeks where I'm going to be doing updates for all my builds, and we're going to be talking more about Thorns. But let me know in the comments down below what you think are the biggest pain points for Thorns and what changes you would like to see made. As we get closer to the patch, hopefully we start getting some cool information. It is more than likely that I will be league starting Bear Thorns. So I'll be playing Druid Thorns. So much of the community wants me to play Druid Thorns. I'm probably doing it. If I don't, I'm going to be playing my Bullet Sword Witch Hunter, which was my favorite build of the league. And I will be doing updates for that as well. So for those who are fans of the Bullet Storm build, yeah, those updates will be coming. If you made it this far in the video, though, just know, I'm an indie game developer, and I will be releasing my next game, Card Collection Simulator, soon. I am an indie game developer. It's just me and my buddy. We started our own studio 3 years ago with no experience. Like, we have no investors. Like, it's just imagine if you started your own company and you just started building up the skills of a game developer from scratch, right? That's where we're at. And if you want to support me on that journey, that's the best way to do it, is just head over to the Steam page below and wishlist the game. Yeah, I don't know if it's a genre you'll like, this is an ARPG and this is a 3D simulator, like, kind of cozy game. But yeah, if you want to support me, check out that game. You'll see trailers and stuff for it on the channel soon. The demo is coming out, I believe, at the beginning of next week, so if people want to play it, you'll be able to give it a try then. But thanks for checking out the video, and yeah, I'm so excited for this patch. Druid hype.